Good morning. My name is Yuldash Vatsevara. I'm your English teacher. Today's our new theme is Education System of Uzbekistan. In this lesson we will speak about Education System of Uzbekistan. So, are you ready for today's video lesson? Okay, let's go. So, here is given the new words vocabulary for today's topic. If you please write down these new words on your notebook. So, government, the group of people with the authority to govern a country or state, a particular ministry in office. Support, give assistance to, especially financially. Achieve, successfully bring about or reach a desired objective or result by effort, skill, or courage. Results, a thing that is caused or produced by something else, a consequence or outcome. Educational reform. Education reform is the term for the goal of changing public education in terms of educational theory and practice. Evidence-based education guides reform where scientific studies point to the methods that are most effective. Education system. The term education system generally refers to the public schooling, not private schooling, and more commonly to kindergarten through high school programs. Schools or school districts are typically the smallest recognized form of education system, and countries are the largest. States are also considered to have education systems. Official literacy. Literacy is the ability to identify, understand, interpret, create, communicate, and compute using printed and written materials associated with varying contexts. So, my dears, it is a new words for today's lesson. If you have written these new words, we will speak about the main topic of today's lesson. So, care for education, care for future. Education is announced as a state priority policy of Uzbekistan. Country literacy indicator is one of the highest in the world, 99.34%. More than 64% of our country population is under the age of 30. Annually, more than 57% of the state budget, or about 12% of GDP, is spent on social sphere. General domestic product is GDP. Uzbekistan is a state of youth. Children, teenagers, and young people under the age of 25 comprise approximately 60% of the total population. Inherent in Uzbekistan ancient heritage is love of children and care for their health, well-being, and education. As early as in the 7th century in China, scientist and explorer Xuanzang wrote that he saw 5-year-old boys in Samarkand, being taught how to read, write, and count. Later, these children were sent out with caravans to learn business and trade. From this point of view, we can see that our ancestors paid attention to the education. Nowadays, in our country, every third child studies at the secondary school or gets trade experience at the high and secondary special schools and trade institutions. 5 million children study at school, and more than a million are preparing to be school children at kindergarten level. The education of children and youth is one of the main priorities of the country's government policy. That's why the law of education was adopted in June of 1992, which became one of the first laws in our young sovereign state. The essence of educational reform in Uzbekistan is to preserve the present intellectual potential of the educational system and to modify our goals and activities in order to develop individuals who are capable to build and live in a democratic civil society and a free market economy. These reforms, however, do not only reflect nationalistic aspiration. Since securing independence, the Uzbekistan nation realized its great responsibility as citizens of the international community and as citizens of our planet. Therefore, one of our main goals is to educate a healthy generation, both physically and mentally. The main principles of our new educational policy support this endeavor. Our goals are determined as the following: humanistic, democratic methods of teaching and socialization, priority to human values, national and cultural traditions, and the separation of educational institutions from the influence of political parties and social and political movements. Considering these principles and the experiences of developed countries of the world, the Republic of Uzbekistan has recognized its main direction of educational development. They are as follows: modification and further perfection of the education and socialization content, development of new school curricula and textbooks, stress on individual ability and talent, vocational and professional development in accordance with changing economical needs, integrating Uzbekistan with world educational standards. At present, within the process of transformation of all the social activity and perspectivities of the country development, textbooks are being renewed, new subjects are added, and teaching staff is being retrained. The working out of the new state educational standards are being completed. A great number of new types of schools are being established. These schools specialize in foreign languages, economics, and ecological problems. Parallel to this, research work is being done on continuation of educational complex including kindergarten, high school, scientific research, and retraining institutions. New methods and technologies are created rapidly based on the national and worldwide pedagogical needs. The basic principles of educational reforms in our republic are democratization and humanization. Of course, all these processes are not easy and simple. The government has to solve many economical and social problems besides other conflicts. With the support of 500,000 hardworking teachers who share the same idea, we hope to achieve our goal. we realize one of the main results to accomplishing educational reform is changing the thinking mentality of our people and society. This is of great importance. At the same time, we understand that by striving to create a new education system according to the world standards, we will achieve success not only in our country, but we might be sharing our knowledge and experience with developing countries and our contribution to the world education system. In Uzbekistan, 11 years of primary and secondary education are obligatory, starting at age 7. This requirement includes 4 years of primary school and 2 cycles of secondary school, lasting 5 and 2 years, respectively. The rate of attendance in those grades is high. Also, the fee is significantly lower in rural areas than in urban centers. Preschool registration has decreased significantly since 1991. The official literacy rate is 90%. However, in the post-Soviet era, educational standards have fallen. Funding and training have not been sufficient to effectively educate the expanding younger cohorts of the population. Between 1992 and 2004, government spending on education dropped from 12% to 6.3% of gross domestic product. In 2006, education's share of the budget increased to 8.1%. Lack of budgetary support has been more noticeable at the primary and secondary levels, as the government has continued to subsidize university students. However, bribes often are necessary to ensure success and advancement in universities. So here is given this chart of the continuous education of Uzbekistan. So up to 6-7 ages, it is called preschool. General secondary education, general secondary education primary school, education period 4 years, and the general secondary school education period 5 years, and secondary specialized education. It consists of 2 parts: 3-year academic license and 3-year vocational college. And next, higher education, bachelor degree education period minimum 4 years, and master degree education period minimum 2 years, and postgraduate education period minimum 3 years, and doctoral candidacy education period minimum 3 years, and then professional development and retraining. So here is given the ages of these stages from 6 years to 23 years in Uzbekistan. People get education. The main directions of the State National School Education Development Program. So, fundamental renovation and reconstruction of buildings and communications infrastructure of secondary schools, equipping of secondary schools with modern trained laboratory equipment, computer technologies, textbooks and manuals, improvement of state educational standards and curriculum, provision of secondary schools with qualified personnel, development of effective system of training, in-service training and retraining of teachers, strengthening of teachers' work stimulation, improvement of school sport facilities and development of sport in secondary schools. So here is the end of our lesson. So before ending our lesson, I have got some questions for you. So, what does it mean of the word continuous education? What are the main features of higher education in Uzbekistan? What is post-education? What is preschool? What do you think about development of sport at schools? Please write down these answers and don't forget to submit it on the Moodle platform. So dears, it is the end of our video lesson. If you have got any misunderstandings or any questions, you may contact me. So, see you later for the next lessons. Our lesson is over. Bye bye.